This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove. We've got a lot to go over today. Some very exciting news late yesterday afternoon from Brian Brooks. More advancements on digital currencies and stablecoins specifically. We're going to get into that. I want to take you through some information, and I want you to stay with me as we go through this because I'm going to make a pretty compelling case, I believe, that we are getting ever so closely to approaching a place where we're going to see XRP or a stablecoin developed off of XRP become a global stablecoin for the world. I really do believe that, and I'm going to take you through the information and let you make up your own mind, but I definitely will want your comments below afterwards. So let's go ahead and get started. So what's the catalyst here? Well, there's many, but the one we're going to focus on today, outside of a liquidity crisis for the world, is that China sees advantages in being the first of new digital currency in this new battlefield, which has been a monetary war that's been going on. And you know what? I'll take that over a physical war any day. I never want to see that. So the reality is that what's the option here? The option is, as one person from Ripple told me, and I will abstain from saying who it was, but what's the option here? To use a digital currency or a coin dollar used by or created by China, or to go with an asset that's been created by an American company, in short. So I think the reality is that, you know, when your back is up against the wall, you might want to take a look at that asset that was created by an American company. Okay, so let's go through this information. And like I said, some of this you've seen before, some of this you haven't. And guys, real quick, I'll do the numbers just to keep flow here. The numbers are brought to you by PureVPN. I use many different layers of security for my protection online. Hiding my anonymity is one of them. I use PureVPN and I like it. Make sure you check the links in the description. I have a lot of different offerings in case you need them. A lot of these things you will need along the way. So make sure you take a look at them. Okay, so here we go. Bitcoin right now is $10,445.59. Ethereum is $339.59. XRP is 23 cents. Let's drill down on the numbers. 0.2317 market cap is 10.4 billion plus, and the 24-hour volume is down 2% at 1.8 billion, and the total circulating supply has come up another 50 or 55 billion. Thank you to Hiding Out Now for that. We are now sitting at 45 billion, 97 million plus. Now, I believe when I see the total circulating supply added to that, they're preparing for more liquidity demand that they would need to service the overall payments and as well as, you know, the retail market itself. But the speculative market at this point, I believe, becomes really just a smaller part of the pie very soon from now. So that's just the way I'm seeing it. Let's go ahead and keep moving and see if you see it that way too. So we know that one of the catalysts is that China is pushing to be at the forefront of launching their central bank digital currency and trying to really take over the dominance of the US dollar as the global reserve status. So with that in mind, Chris Larson, back on August 21st, said China has near ubiquitous use of digital payments. Piloting state-controlled digital yuan has the largest concentration of crypto miners. The U.S. can't afford to lose this tech war, Cold War, if we want to maintain economic leadership globally. And then he highlights this article here, and he's absolutely right on. And that goes to just what we just talked about. So with that being said, pay attention to this from XRP Crypto Wolf. The U.S. is number one with the most blockchain patents globally. IBM and Alibaba hold the most blockchain patents. Alibaba filed 200 patents while IBM has 100. Bank of America and MasterCard have also filed blockchain patents, so the U.S. has 2,112 patents in the blockchain sector. So that to me shows me that there is a huge awareness behind the scenes of what needs to happen and where everything is going. And, obviously that doesn't address the, legislative side, the government side of things. But I think the public and private relationship that will be eventually at some point, and I do believe Ripple will be a part of that, because I refer back to the executive order from the current president back in 2017, Executive Order 13772, I believe. And that is where it is cited that it is a executive order about modernizing the entire infrastructure of government with blockchain and crypto where applicable, essentially. So Ripple and MoneyGram are two of the companies that were cited in that executive order. So pretty promising stuff all going on there. Let's keep going here, because then I want to go back to July 22nd when the first initial letter came out, or ruling came out, from Brian Brooks from the OCC, and that was that federally chartered banks could custody digital assets. Here we have Brad Garlinghouse celebrating that with, boom, today's ruling is a huge step forward. The U.S. OCC is absolutely leading the way to foster innovation, protect consumers, and provide a level playing field for all. The future has been fiat versus crypto. The future has never been fiat versus crypto. These can and should coexist in harmony, highlighting again, one, that we've had this advancement from the OCC, which is fantastic, and two, that XRP is designed to be an intermediary currency or a bridge currency to settle in between all the currencies to alleviate the stress on the US dollar as the global reserve status or global reserve currency at this time. Let's keep moving. Here's another one from August 28th, where Brad Garlinghouse highlights the pandemic is throwing so many playbooks out the window. Yesterday's action flies in the face of decades of precedent. He was highlighting that Jerome Powell was not going to make an adjustment and they were going to let inflation run hot, which it has not done yet. Signs point to further dollar debasement in the near term, leading to further diversification of assets, which will certainly be good for crypto. Now, again, another spot-on comment that we're going to see a dollar debasement at some point. And right now, the dollar index was running strong yesterday or the day before at 33% up, and crypto market being down looks like a strong correlation there, according to Cryptopolis, co-host on Friday's show. So moving forward here, we know that there is projected here at some point there will be a debasement to the dollar, and that is going to bode well for crypto, but it also is going to create a situation where, again, we get closer to a scenario of, will we see XRP move and be adopted into this bridge currency status in large order, not in just the order that it's in now. And we're going to take a look at that also. Now, we see that Ripple continues to expand on the compliance team for the Bank Secrecy Act. Now, this is really interesting because we also know that while they're expanding, we also know that back at the end of August here, we saw that there was an article where Brad Garlinghouse mentioned that they currently could not facilitate the demand for XRP cross-border payments with ODL because of the demand being so big, but the liquidity not being deep enough at this time. Now, that's a pretty remarkable statement, because at the end of the day, he says here, Ripple has actually throttled that growth because one of the things that is important when using ODL is you have to have really good liquidity on both sides of the transaction. And so if XRP doesn't have enough liquidity in the marketplace, you can't put as much demand through. And this really comes down to a situation where we're looking at that, and we're looking at the debasement issue that he's talking about of the dollar. And you start to say to yourself, hey, if we can get like a baton handoff here, we can begin alleviating the stress of the dollar as the global reserve currency and keep the dollar. But we can also move towards bringing more liquidity, more depth, more water in the pool for XRP to be able to meet those level of demands because of everything being accelerated because of the pandemic. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the next piece. The next piece is what we got yesterday from Brian Brooks. And what we got yesterday was pretty magnificent to me because it really spawned a lot of thoughts in my mind. Rapid growth of stablecoin projects may signal a blockchain-enabled payment system of the future. Wow, that's a hell of a statement right there. USOCC is pleased to provide guidance to banks supporting these assets. Then the short little issued letter here basically says that the letter responds to questions regarding the application of stablecoin-related bank activities. It concludes national banks and federal savings associations may hold reserves on behalf of customers who issue stablecoins. That's pretty remarkable. And it's pretty remarkable because, at the same time, Ripple is still saying, hey, come use the new accessible global payment system, which they currently have so much demand for that they can't facilitate all the large orders or settlement that they need at this time because they don't have the liquidity deep enough. Well, interestingly enough, back in May, there was a question between some people online and David Schwartz that actually spurred some really cool conversations. Now, I do want to say that when we went to Swell last year, I did have a chance to talk to David because David, right before Swell, had made a video where he talked about how you could launch stablecoins off of the XRP ledger and essentially XRP2 if you wanted, right? So, interestingly enough, there was just some great back and forth there. And I look back on that trip and it was just remarkable. And you have to understand that, the compliance team was so strict about who we were able to talk to, and we were not allowed to have any one-on-one interviews. So the Twitter feeds, the live Twitter feeds that we did with conversations of David were all we were essentially allowed to do, and then videotape outside at the little after party at that one, I think it's 1 or 2 nights, after all the conferences had taken place during the day. We were not allowed to do anything other than that. But we still very, 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 privileged and honored to be a part of it and to go and experience that. It was remarkable. But moving into this conversation, let's talk about this. After the flippening of Tether and Ripple, which means that, Tether went past it in the market cap and moved up above it from number 4 to number 3, moving XRP to number 4. It's interesting because we moved down into here and I want to touch on something. Let's just read this really quick and get through this. So the flippening between XRP has also led to interesting discussion on social media. An XRP investor Twitter user, XRP ADA, reached out to David Schwartz, the chief technology officer of Ripple, and questioned whether Tether has more use cases than XRP. Schwartz responded to the question and explained that both cryptocurrencies have different use cases. According to Schwartz, a cryptocurrency like USD Tether, which is linked to fiat money of a country that depends on the trust in a central party, cannot be universal. In contrast, XRP is universal. However, Schwartz also admitted that XRP is volatile, which can lead to difficulties in many use cases. Here we see, I think they have different use cases. I don't think an asset pegged to one country's fiat through a central party you have to trust can be universal. But XRP has volatility that makes it harder to use in many use cases. Okay, is XRP-based stablecoin the solution? And that's what we're getting into today. It has been known for quite some time that Ripple is working on a functionality that allows companies to create their own tokens on the XRP ledger. This would allow, for example, to issue stablecoins and thus also eliminate the problem of XRP volatility that Schwartz mentioned. In relation to this, another XRP community member addresses Schwartz on how the collateral of XRP-based stablecoin issued by Ripple would be designed. Specifically, he asked Schwartz whether the stablecoin would be collateralized with a security deposit in the form of XRP by Ripple as a central entity, or whether the collateralization would be implemented via digital IOUs. Furthermore, the Twitter user Great Gatsby, and if you're not following Great Gatsby, I would be, also wanted to know whether the stablecoin would have the same properties as XRP. In order to benefit from the properties of XRP, on the one hand, and to represent a decentralized money on the other hand. Schwartz replied to this. They live in a weird in-between world. They are not fully decentralized because their security relies on some entity to provide an accurate price feed. But a decentralized system manages their collateral and makes them work like XRP to make payments. Well, first of all, I mean, I remember covering this back in May, but shout out to Great Gatsby, because this is exactly where my head has been with XRP. Is this going to be a direct collateralization of XRP to get a price floor so it can be the most reliable asset to use while remaining a decentralized, open, free market asset that can continue to grow in price? Or will there be a stable coin that's developed off of XRP, and then that collateralization, that floor price, provides that price for that token, making it the most reliable asset for settlement for all the largest entities of the world? Now, let's keep going, because then we come to the Financial Stability Board. The Financial Stability Board is a regulatory body connected to the G20. I say this and I bring this up because we want to bring this conversation international, because that's what this problem is global, right? So the reality is we're talking about Argentina, Korea, Australia. We're talking about Mexico, Brazil, the Netherlands, Canada, Russia, Saudi Arabia, China, Singapore, South Africa, France, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Turkey, UK, India, Indonesia, Italy, United States, European Union, Japan. It's the largest players of the world. Remember when we covered back in April, they talked about addressing the regulatory, supervisory, and oversight challenges raised by global stablecoin arrangements? Because I do. And here is that PDF right here, and I've done video on it. If you just put it in the title of my playlist search box, it will come up for you. But I want to take you down here to the glossary definition, and we won't go through the whole document here. So breathe a sigh of relief. What is a global stablecoin, right? What is it? So a global stablecoin with the potential reach and adoption across multiple jurisdictions and the potential to achieve substantial volume. Slightly different than stablecoin, a crypto asset that aims to maintain a stable value relative to a specific asset or a pool or basket of assets. This is interesting to me because, a potential reach and adoption across multiple jurisdictions. Well, this is interesting to me because, look, let's go to this diagram I put together this morning just for a simple walkthrough here. Okay? This may or may not be what we're looking at, but I just wanted to put it up into a diagram because I think it may help. So currently right now, we know that Brian Brooks has said that, federally chartered banks can hold reserves for stable coins. Okay, great. Well, let's take that and expand that conversation internationally. And what if the central banks of the world, like Central Bank A and Central Bank B, were to take a certain percentage of their nostro vostro accounts, which is dormant capital that lies all over the world, somewhere in the neighborhood of $20-25 trillion, right? Taking a percentage of that dormant capital and collateralizing either XRP the token or XRP the stablecoin or both XRP, and then creating a stablecoin off of it. If you were to do that, you could provide a price floor for liquidity and utility demand. This would make the asset, whether it was directly XRP or whether it was XRP stablecoin, the most reliable settlement tool or bridge currency that could be have a consistent exchange rate to all other currencies of the world. It obviously would run on the ledger, as everything would, and this central bank would also put up a certain percentage, and the other central banks of the world, and so on and so on and so on. Because wouldn't you want to take a, let's say, 10 or 20% of your pre-funded accounts and contribute to a collateralization of something like this to the ledger and the assets? to where you could release the other 80% or whatever that ratio would be for the first time in the history of mankind and have access to that money, which is what you need to be able to get yourself out of this hole that the world is currently in. And this would remain a decentralized, free, open market asset that could continue to grow in price and use. And by the way, what do you think would happen to the understanding of what this asset is if this example takes place? What do you think the demand of this asset and the ledger would be if you see it adopted for either the birthing of a stable coin off of XRP or for the use of XRP directly? It would work. It could work either way, right? But the reality is that if you did it this way, you could either keep XRP as a commodity back in or a utility token or a currency as I see it and develop another stable coin off of it. You can collateralize the ledger, everybody lock up the XRP, lock up some reserves, and use a stable coin that becomes the most reliable asset on the planet for settlement. So at the end of the day, when I see the recent letter of Brian Brooks that federally chartered banks can now custody reserves and hold reserves, I should say, for stablecoins and stablecoin projects, I begin to wonder if you, in fact, see XRP as a potential stablecoin, which doesn't mean that it'll be worth $1. It means it'll be worth however much the entire ledger is collateralized for, and that will reflect in the price of the XRP token. And if you were to build or launch a stablecoin off of that collateralization that is locked up, you can guarantee a very reliable price floor while the asset XRP continues to grow because of that demand. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Just something to think about. I am really excited to read your comments below about all of this, but I just wanted to lay this out because I believe this news could potentially be greater than we actually think it is. All right, that's all from me. Hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you share with somebody you know. I'll catch all of you on the next one.